Hi YouTube, I wanted to come on and do a video of this dream I had on September 28th. The dream was kind of lengthy, so I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as possible. So let me just get into it. Okay, the dream started out, I was in this modern type office building. This was kind of how the building looked, but not exactly. So I just tried to, pull some pictures that would paint the picture for you all so you can see and have an idea of what I was seeing. So I was working in this, this modern style office building, and I guess I was in my office, and I saw Donald Trump's daughter. She was there, and we were talking. I'm going to be kind of going through some pictures as I'm on here, but some of them are out of order, so you see me kind of just going back and forth. That's what I'm doing. But that Donald Trump's daughter. So she was complaining about her shoulders were hurting, like she was tense or whatever. And I told her, I said, I can help kind of release some of, the tension if you want me to. So she was like, sure. So we went downstairs to like a break room, I'm assuming. And she was sitting in the chair in front of me. So I was kind of trying to massage the kinks out. And I remember massaging her, and I think I was massaging her too hard because her shoulder started kind of turning red, and she was like, started complaining about, I was hurting her. So walks in Donald Trump and his wife, and I wasn't sure what they really wanted. I thought it was like they were waiting on me to massage them for some reason, um, or that's what they portrayed, like that's what they wanted, but they were there for something else. So I finished with her, and they were like, Donald Trump was like, can you meet us over at this building? So it was like a building next door. I had to walk out of our building and go into the building next door. So I went to the building, and so I'm kind of looking around because it almost looked like some type of warehouse. So I'm looking around like, okay, where are they? So I turn around, they're coming up towards me, and they have on the something similar to this, like these ninja outfits, and it had like a white sash around it, like in the middle where you see the blue sash, but it was actually white, and it was turquoise, this kind of color, this turquoise blue. So I was like, okay, what is going on? Like they were coming towards me, and I felt like they wanted to fight me. So I remember running. So let's talk quickly about what the color turquoise is. So the color turquoise represents the river of God, sanctification, healing, New Jerusalem. And white represents, because I told you there's a white sash around their waist, the bride of Christ, surrender, harvest, light, righteousness, conquest, victory, blessedness, joy, angels, saints, peace, completion, triumph. So I was just like trying to figure out why I saw all that in my dream. That's the only way I can just try to pull this together and try to understand what I was seeing in my dream. So that's why I pulled the meanings of the colors that I saw because they stuck out greatly in my dream. Okay, so after they started coming towards me, I ran back in the building. I ran back in the building, and as I ran back in the building, I got on the elevator. So let me go to the picture. Got on the elevator, and I was on the elevator with several white women, and there was one black woman. So we're on there. Three of the women, the black woman, two other white women were gossiping about some woman who obviously wasn't on the elevator, but they were speaking, badly about her. And so I'm just kind of sitting there watching. And I don't know if I engaged in this conversation or what, but the elevator continued to go up, and we let off some of the women. And so the three women that were gossiping about the woman were still on the elevator. The other women got off. All of a sudden, the doors closed, and we began to free fall down this elevator shaft. Like the elevator is just flying down this elevator shaft. When I'm telling you, I was so afraid. Like I'm hanging on to the handrail of the elevator, and my legs are like flying up in the air, and I'm just hanging on for like dear life. Like, oh my gosh, this elevator is getting ready to crash. I'm just like, just waiting, like, okay, this thing is going to crash, and this is going to be it for us. But what happened was the elevator stopped kind of abruptly on this floor. I get off the elevator. I don't know what happened to the other women, which direction they went, but I got off the elevator and I was in this type of laboratory. In this laboratory, I remember seeing the word selfless. It was like that was like the name of the laboratory. I don't know why, but I was just like kind of looking around and it just did not feel right in this lab. Like they were doing something that they were not supposed to be doing. So I was like, I'm gonna get the heck up out of here, because I felt like if I stayed long enough, like I was gonna be experimented on. So I was like, oh no, let me get up out of here. So let's look at the word quickly. What selfless means: concerned more with the needs and wishes of others than with one's own. Unselfish. So I was like, okay, I'm just trying to put all the pieces together. So after being in the laboratory, I took off. Running. And I'm outside. So I'm outside. Then the scene switched. So the scene switched, and then I'm outside. So like I said, my pictures are kind of out of whack. So I'm outside and I'm looking around. I'm outside, and all I see is this red. This is similar to what I saw. Nothing but red everywhere. The sky was red, the ground was red, and I remember seeing kind of like this brick, almost like this brick kind of flooring that I was on, um, or ground, and I just remember seeing just red everywhere. I'm like, what is going on? So behind me were these two women. They walked out of what I sensed was a dungeon. I never did see the dungeon, but I just sensed that it was a dungeon. So I'm looking at these women walking out. It was the first woman that walked out. She had a shackle. And that's why I had a quick shackle in here. She had a shackle on her. I want to say it was her. It was her right foot. She was shackled to her right foot, and nothing was at the end of it. It was dragging along. She was obviously tortured and beaten because her clothes were torn up. She was bleeding. She just looked horrible. Like my heart just went out to her. And so I saw her kind of just limping off. She was all humped over, limping off. And then I looked over to my left, and I saw another woman coming out, and she was looking the same way. Had a shackle. She was shackled, but the difference with this woman was she had a little boy shackled to the other end of her shackle, and this little boy had to be about 4 or 5 years old. When I tell you, y'all, my heart ached so badly from what I had saw. Like I couldn't even believe, like what I saw these women, what they had been through. It's just my heart was hurting. It was like the agony that they had felt is like I was feeling it in my heart. And so I began to like weep in my dream, and I began to start. I was praying. I was talking to God, and like, what, how much longer, do they have to go through this? Like, I think I was even saying, how much longer do we have to go through this? Like, how much longer do we have to go through this? And I'm talking to God, and I looked up to my right, and to my right was the ocean, just kind of like almost like this here. To the right was the ocean, and I looked out to the horizon. And when I tell you, you guys, Jesus' face filled the sky from east to west. His face filled the sky, and he was looking at me, and he was looking at what was going on, and he had so much sorrow and pain in his eyes, and I'm just looking, and I'm just crying out to him, and just like, why, trying to figure out why is this happening? How much longer do they got to go through this? Like, and the crazy thing is, my daughter was telling me. She said, as I was telling her about the dream, she said, "Is that why you were kind of, crying in your dream?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Because I said, you don't understand the pain that I feel. It's almost like me, maybe, feeling what Jesus was feeling. I mean, it was so hurtful and painful to see those women going through that." And so this is kind of let me go over the meaning of red, and I'll show you something. Um, so the meaning of red, of course, is the blood of Jesus, love of God, blood of the Lamb, atonement, salvation. Which I already had it here. I'm sorry, I had actually did it anyway. But yeah. So I was just like, oh my gosh. So this is actually what I saw in the sky. The picture, of course, is not exactly what I saw, but it was kind of a drawing. It was like a drawing of him, like cartoon like. Um, His hair was more wavy. It was a deeper curls and waves. His nose was a little bit wider than that. His eyes was wider than this as well. He did have mustache and beard. I did see that. He didn't have this hood over his head because more of his hair was out, and I could see his hair. And his hair was filling most of the sky. It was filling most of the sky, and I could see his face. And his eyes had this because it was red. His eyes were red. His skin was red. Everything that's not black was red. It was just like I could see the outline of this picture. And so I'm just sitting there looking at him, and then the scene switched, and then I was with my daughter's father, and I was riding in the vehicle with him, and I was telling him, I said, I got to tell you about this dream I had, not realizing that I was still in the dream. I'm thinking that I'm out of the dream, and I'm telling him like, I got to tell you about this dream I had. I'm still in the dream, and the dream goes on as if like my normal life goes on. We're continuing with the kids and doing different things, and then I woke up. So when I woke up, I was like, oh my gosh. Great tribulation hit me instantly. I knew that's what it was. That great tribulation was happening. That's what I was seeing at the end of this dream. And it was, guys, if you could see what I saw in the pain that I felt, the agony. Oh my gosh. I'm just thinking about it now, and I'm trying to keep from crying because it was so horrific. It was so horrific to see those women like that, and especially the little boy. The little boy was beaten down. His clothes were torn up. It was hurtful, and I was just crying out to God, like, how much longer, do they have to suffer? Do they have to go through this? And he never opened his mouth. He never said anything. He just sat and looked. And that's when the scene switched, and I woke, and it continued on, and then I woke up. So I wanted to share this with you guys. And if you have any comments, any things that the Lord has led you to, please share them. I just want to go ahead and get this dream out there. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.